So I wanted this review to be different, a little bit more chill, because at this point, I believe you already know about all of the specs and all of the high-end marketing details of the Ronin 4D, but I really want to emphasize the value that this camera brings to me, the things I use it for. Honestly, a lot of the things that I can now sell because of this camera, because this camera's kind of ruined me. And I really want to get into that. I want to talk about a lot today. So I wanted this video to be a little bit different, a little bit more artistic, more chill. And if you're considering switching to an ecosystem like this is going to be the video for you. And I'm going to truly try my best to get across all of the things that this camera does great, all of the things that it does poorly, and why this is my most used camera over the last year. What's going on here? I wanted to do something a little bit different. If having a midlife crisis is a thing, then this is probably my midlife creative crisis, because I haven't been inspired to film or inspired to do a lot of things recently. And it's probably because I haven't been challenging myself a lot. I've just been working, and with working, I don't have to think about a lot of stuff, honestly, because it comes so easily to me now because I think I have the right tool for the right jobs. And my tool currently is the Ronin 4D. I have a lot of cameras. That is not to be an understatement. A lot of cameras, they solve a lot of different problems. And originally I bought the Ronin 4D to solve a very specific problem. And slowly over time, I realized it was just better at solving a little bit of everything, that all my other cameras started to take a back seat. The Sony FX3, the Sony FX30, they're just glorified interview cameras now, because in almost every situation, the Ronin just does a better job. The Blackmagic I have here that I'm filming on currently, still absolutely love this camera. I use it a lot for YouTube, but when it comes to client work, the Ronin 4D is an excellent solution. So what I want to do today is mainly talk to you guys about all of the value it gives me, all of the things that it replaces, and a lot of the biases I had going into it, how they've kind of course corrected. And truthfully, I've learned a lot using this camera. So one of the first things that, obviously the elephant in the room, is the Ronin 4D is a amalgamation of a camera. It's a gimbal and a camera combined, and obviously your first thought is going to be this has to be some sense of gimmick, because it can't do everything well. Aside from lens selection, which I don't have that problem because I use DZO's Vespit Primes. Aside from lens selection, this thing is so versatile. I've been mainly using the DZOs on it or the Sony Prime lenses that I have, and every single one of them fits. They all balance. It does an excellent job across the board with that. And it really got me thinking, why am I even trying so hard to overthink these solutions? Because the Ronin just does it. So any gimbals I had or anything like that, I've kind of sold them. You don't need the gimbals. You don't need the extra things, because that camera is a really good solution. So if you're on board with the way it balances, if you're on board with the lens selections, that's a good starting point. Aside from that, now that I have the 4D, I started thinking about all the other things that I didn't have to buy. Let's talk about the monitors. External monitor, which is something I use on almost every camera, and director's monitor. Those two things the 4D does excellently, because the built-in screen is insane. The touchscreen controls, the operating system, best operating system I've used on a camera aside from the Blackmagic, and it even does a lot of stuff better. Because it feels like a more advanced version of the Blackmagic's operating system, you gotta be a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit more intentional when you're using it. But for just a straightforward camera operating system, this thing is incredible. I have had such a great time with it, and pairing that with the high bright monitor, meaning I have a director's monitor where I have to do nothing. There is no additional things I have to go look. There's no transmitters. Currently, to break the immersion for you, I'm using a monitor here, running a transmitter. I have a big V-mount wireless battery. I have a lot of cables and a lot of things plugged into this monitor to make it work, and a lot of stuff plugged into the camera itself. But with the Ronin 4D, I don't have to do that. I don't have to think about it. I hand whoever's on set a director's monitor. It just works. I turn it on, it works. I can also hook the side handles up to the monitor and use it as a control monitor. It's so simple things that just work for me that I found out I was replacing a lot more stuff in my kit. So that's kind of what this video is about. I started realizing the Ronin 4D is doing so much stuff excellently that I was selling off a lot of things, and I've sold off a lot of things, and I realized that I don't need all of these individual tools and solutions because this one is an excellent one. Let's talk about some of the conveniences of the internal specs. So I have the 6K version, which has been locked up in a case for months at this point, because I also have the Ronin 4D 8K. The 8K is incredible. It was a really nice upgrade, and I'm honestly a little blown away. I still get a little jitters thinking about it because the image it produces is the reason I keep choosing it. Like, yes, it's a very convenient camera. I cannot get that across enough. The built-in gimbal, the built-in ND filters, the transmitter, all of those things are very convenient. But at the end of the day, I want my image to look superior. That's what I was getting out of the Ronin 4D. The dynamic range and the way it handles its image is honestly pretty impressive. Because I shoot with the Sony a lot, I shoot with the Blackmagic a lot, and we film with the C70, the Canon R6, like a lot of different things. And every single time we film, I can just put the Ronin 4D footage on the timeline and immediately see a better filmed video. Every single time. I need to do better one-to-one comparisons because I've been filming a lot of weddings recently. 35mm at 1.4. Everything's looked so dreamy, so nice. I can't get over how good everything has been looking. The commercial work that we do, the TV spots, the web videos, the story videos for clients. I started sprinkling in the 4D for like a little bit of B-roll, for a little bit of, driving shots. And then part of me was like, dude, why aren't you using this for X? Why aren't you using this for Y? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't have a good excuse. My excuse was I was trying to love all these cameras equally and give each one of them a chance. And at the end of the day, the 4D was being superior. A lot of that has to do with the 8K sensor. Downsampling the 4K makes it look incredible. The HDR that it provides, the file formats, ProRes H.264, sadly, and ProRes RAW. I haven't been using the ProRes RAW a lot. When I use RAW, I usually use B-RAW. B-RAW is amazing, but I have been filming ProRes and it just all works so smoothly. And man, I really do enjoy the process of using this camera. So at the end of the day, it replaces my follow focus system. It replaces my external monitor. It replaces my gimbal. It replaces my onboard monitor. I don't need a cage system because everything is built into this one package. At the end of the day, I was always wanting for more. I didn't need more. And that's why I say this camera's kind of like ruined me, because I used to be a person who, let me get all the rigs, let me get all the gear, let me build out every single thing. I want to feel it. I want the heavy camera. And when I got the 4D, I was like, oh man, I don't have to do any of that anymore. And for the first time, I kind of understand what life in luxury feels like. So what I want to say is, you don't have to make this camera fit what you're trying to do. If you think that this is going to be a good, well-rounded solution for you, because once again, at the end of the day, this is just a tool. If you think it's going to be a good, well-rounded solution for you, it probably is, because I thought it was going to be a great solution for one thing in my camera journey. And it turns out it's just the solution. So going into 2025, I'm hoping to use the Ronin 4D a lot more. I'm looking into a few other things, a few other cameras that I really want to get my hands on and just see, because at this point, it's just fun. I finally kind of know what it feels like to be a little bit more removed from the need to always want to upgrade my camera. I hate that. I mean, I love it and I hate it because I really like the new toys and new things, but man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So before we even get into the closing aspect of it, I want to talk about some of the things that it does poorly that I've had to kind of consider. If you are a person who is new to the DJI ecosystem, you have to kind of rely on their batteries. The batteries don't last that long. They're about 90 minutes, like 90 good minutes, probably that almost 2 hours. But when I'm on a wedding day and I'm just constantly going, it's probably like 90 minutes. And what I've noticed, that's fine. The reason that's fine is because that one battery is all I need to power everything. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually just a really cool thing. It's just a really good thing. I don't have to worry about charging a buttload of things. And DJI actually has this 4-bay charger that I use that is super incredible because I have 5 batteries. 1 lives on the camera, 4 can charge at one time, and I never run out, and it's constant. So I've never had to worry about battery life. Something I do have to worry about is the pain in my back from carrying a camera like that all day. So it is a little heavy. And if you're looking for something like that, then I would probably recommend either the Tilt-A-Arm, an easy rig, or something I'm getting in here soon is the SAC Cine Saddle. Basically just a bag that you wear around your shoulder. And I'm just gonna prop the 4D on it. I don't have that in yet. It should be in sometime this week. But I think that's gonna be the easiest thing that I've added on to having the Ronin 4D. And the last con, it's not lost on me, is the cost. It's expensive. There's no way around it. What it gives you is what you have to consider when you're considering the price, because it gives you so much more. Even the 6K version, like I really, really love the 8K, but the Ronin 4D in general gives you so much. And I want to have a lot of bad things to say about this camera. Like usually the only bad things that I have to say come from things that I just didn't do myself. Like I didn't choose to balance the gimbal in this particular instance. Why is my gimbal being a little weird? I didn't choose to update all my firmware. Why is it telling me to update the firmware in the middle of a shoot? Like it's things that I could have avoided if I would have done the work, because the camera itself is surprisingly really well thought out. I didn't think it was that thought out. Like I thought it was thought out, truthfully, but when it first released, I genuinely thought, okay, I like this camera. I really hope it's not a gimmick, because I'm gonna buy this camera and this is a lot of money. I really hope they don't just release this and then just say, oh, that's the end of it. Like enjoy your purchase, because you're not gonna get support from us. So far, I really like the fact that they've been releasing stuff. They've been releasing more and more things that start to complement it, especially like the Flex. Oh God, really, really chill, truthfully. Really, really great thing that came out, because I paired the Flex with the Tilta's backpack, essentially, to where you can just mount the 4D on your back, have the Flex in your hand, and now you have one of the most versatile camera systems on the market. A beast, an 8K, 14.7 stops of dynamic range beast. And that's what I love. Like, it's really hard to kind of crap on this camera, and I want to. I try my best to be as unbiased as possible. Like DJI didn't ask me to make this or anything like that. I've been trying to get back into the rhythm and routine of making content. And I wanted to start with something I knew. I wanted to start with something I love. And overall, I've had this camera for years at this point, but basically like my 1-year review on the Ronin 4D 8K, overall, incredible across the board. You can replace so much gear just by having this camera. And this camera has made me a lot of money by what it's able to do. That's what's important. At the end of the day, it's just a camera. To be realistic, it's just a camera. It is a tool that you use to get the particular job done. You got to understand what the end goal is that you're trying to achieve to understand what tool you may need. I bought the Ronin 4D for what I thought I was going to use it for. And I hadn't done a proper assessment, because while I didn't have to go through a lot of the extra camera buys that I went through trying to fill in spaces and fill in the gaps that it already filled in. So be really considerate when you're looking to upgrade cameras or looking to, take a lateral step or even downgrade. You could have a $30,000 camera, and if something like this is a solution for you, be aware, because this camera kind of does it all, which means it doesn't do any one thing so good, but the fact that it does everything like really well is suspicious. And I just want to let you know that here I am a couple years into owning it, and it still does an excellent job. But with that all being said, that's all I have for you today, guys. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, consider subscribing. And if you like this like chill vibe that I got going, I'm going to try to do more stuff like this. I don't want to lose why I started doing this channel. That was the big thing for me. I want this to be creative. I want this to be a way that I can flex my muscles like mentally and problem solve, because there's a lot that went into this, and I really, really do enjoy it, and I enjoy you guys. So thank you so much for supporting. I want you guys to stay safe, you're loved, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.